How much do the New England Patriots have left in the vault after extending Jahlani Tavai? Stick around. You're about to be locked in to the Locked On Patriots podcast.
You are Locked On Patriots, your daily New England Patriots podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello to all of you Foxborough faithful. Thank you once again for making Locked On Patriots a daily part of your New England Patriots coverage. Don't forget, Locked On Patriots is not only a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, but we are also free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. So smash that subscribe button and download and follow Locked On Patriots wherever you get your podcasts to ensure that you're getting the latest episode as soon as it's available. I'm your host, Mike Debate, and I cover your New England Patriots for the Patriots country. So reach out to me and let me know what's on your mind on X at MDABATENFL. And while you're out there showing some love to Locked On Patriots social media style, please be sure to follow our account there as well at LO_Patriots. And Pats fans, today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Pats fans, we are almost at the start of training camp, and when we need the definitive word on any and all things Patriots salary cap related, yeah, you know, we always are going to seek the wisdom and counsel of my guest today, the most knowledgeable source when it comes to anything and everything related to the Patriots salary cap situation. And he's also among the best followers on Twitter that you can find anywhere. Truly one of the great guys in this business or any walk of life. You know him as the Pats Cap. He is my good friend, Miguel Benzan, and it's my honor to welcome his wisdom and counsel back to Locked On Patriots today. Welcome back to the pod, Miguel. Thanks so much for joining me today, buddy.
You are so welcome. You do such an ego. I cannot believe how busy the Patriots been keeping during the summer. Don't they know it's hot and humid and I gotta mow my lawn?
How dare they? You know, really. I mean, they got to coordinate the schedules over at one Patriots place a little better than this, man. They really do.
Mike, I am pleasantly surprised that I keep on working. They truly have taken the phrase "nose day off" to hot. I am like, what? Another extension? And we got two people, maybe three, Judon, Godchaux, Peppers, who've mentioned their contract recently. So there might be a chance that we got a couple of more extensions before the start of the regular season.
Oh yeah, never a dull moment, no days off, like you said, buddy.
Yeah, it's been busier than I thought, Mike. I really did not think I'd be that busy during the summer. I usually don't have anything to do in late June or early July. Like literally the only transactions that have been on the NFLPA has been Patriot stuff. Really, no, not the only ones, but most of them have been Patriot stuff. It's crazy. It's funny.
It really is. And we are blessed here on Locked On Patriots to always welcome your wisdom and counsel anytime there are financial situations, anytime there's any questions related to the Pats finances. You're the Pharaoh of Foxborough Finance, my friend. I've given you that moniker several times. The great and powerful wizard of Benzan, the salary cap top gun. There are too many to name, but he lives up to every single one of them. And, you know, I've often used the term best in the business to describe you. That's not an exaggeration, folks. That's not a colloquial name. I truly mean that from the bottom of my heart. Whenever I have a salary cap question, Miguel, you're always my first source. You're quite frankly the only one that I need. And 99.9% of the time, you're right on the money. So, you know, let's get down to it, my friend.
All right.
According to your calculations, your Patriots salary cap number after the Patriots extended linebacker Jahlani Tavai last week is $43,345,676. Now, according to your addition to that, that's a $293,750 decrease from your last update. Right. And that also accounts, folks, for the Ramondre Stevenson extension as well. And I know Miguel's going to get into all of that, but let's start with Tavai first because it is the fresh contract and the news of the day, and the details were just freshly released. At the time that the deal was reported, Miguel, we learned it was a 3-year extension, The maximum value of the deal was a reported $21 million with a base value of $15 million. Now, as usual, you have come bearing gifts, bearing wisdom, counsel, but you've also come with visual aids, spreadsheets. You're always prepared, and you always help us see things us mere mortals don't see. So when it comes to this contract extension for Jahlani Tavai, kind of walk us through what it means for the Patriots and what it means for Jahlani as a whole.
He gets more money this year than he would have. All right. So they basically decrease his salary a little bit. All right. From $1.265 million to $1.125 million, which is the minimum for a guy with his number of seasons in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
They gave him a 5 points something signing bonus that gets prorated over 4 years.
Right.
They took out his $1 million in playing time incentives, took that away, all right, from the deal, all right? And then going forward in 25, 26, and 27, he has $2 million of playing time incentives in each of those seasons. $500,000 is tied to 80% playing time and the Patriots making the playoffs.
Okay.
All right. The first two tiers should be really easy for him to make, 50% and 60% playing time. And then it goes up to 70 and then 80 and then 80 and the playoffs. Right. All right. So out of the 2 million, if he plays 70% or 75% of the snaps this year on defense, he's going to get 1.5. His cap number in 2025 will go up by $1.5 million.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Because those incentives, I would now consider them to be likely to be earned because he earned them. And no, he not earned them, but he earned the stats in 2024. Right. All right. It's once again, the Patriots got another team-friendly deal. And what I mean by that, all right, they can trade him in the fall after June 1st, 2025, and still create cap space. They can cut him in 2026, just 2 seasons from now, and create cap space. All right. He is right now around, depending on how you devalue the new money, OTC has his new money as $5.33 million. I personally would use a different number. All right. I would have it as $4.8 million. All right. I will reach out to them. I hadn't had a chance because I was mowing my lawn and right after work, all right, to figure out why we differ on the new money API. But let's just go with their numbers of $5.33 million. All right, 8 new million. That puts him 30th in the league for a linebacker. All right. But the top of the market is $19, $20 million. There's a bunch of guys who are around the $3 to $5 million range. All right. And then you got the rookies, all right, who are getting nothing. All right. Or at the very minimum. I think it's a fair deal. It's unfortunate for Tavai that people have to make a hot take right away. So they would say, oh, they extended another guy from the team, went from 4 and 13. Well, you're not paying players for past performance. You're paying for what they could do for in the future.
Right.
All right. So and then I heard people say he got overpaid, but they never said like, well, you heard the numbers, $5 million, but you didn't say how much did you expect him to get paid?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, literally, did you think he was going to get just $3 million on the market? A guy who played 70% of the snaps on defense and 77% of the snaps on special teams? Mm-hmm. Just get $3 million. I don't know what number they thought he was going to get. But I do know that like I said, Murph had said this on your show the day the announcement came out. Like, if he plays this year like he played last year, mm-hmm. The $5 million, he wouldn't have gotten $5 million. He probably would have gotten $7.5 or $8 million a year.
Right. All
right. Because let the cap's going to go up probably another to 10%. So let's go from 255 to 280. Mm-hmm. All right. So if the cap's going up, and he got $5 million this year, we can expect that he should get at least a 10% increase over that of $5.5 million. But next year in the offseason, he's not dealing with just one team. He's dealing with possibly 31 other teams, 32 teams. And the laws supply and demand means it increases value. All right. The Patriots have, on whole, Mike, have gotten the players to take a lot of them have taken team-friendly deals. If you have a guy on a rookie deal, a quarterback on a rookie deal, you want to be able to the flexibility to move off a guy, players, and then pivot to somebody else. It's just in case some elite talent becomes available. All right. So they're not tied. I mean, the Patriots have so much flexibility this year, flexibility, and we'll go into 2025 for a little bit, if we have time. Next year, in the next couple of years, when they have Drake May under a rookie contract, and right now, folks, I mean, like people, we're hearing about Judon and we're hearing about Godchaux, but let's put our critical thinking hats on. Let's not say the Patriots are cheap because they haven't addressed those guys yet. The Patriots, after the signing of Jahlani Tavai, are in the top 10 in the cash spending categories. Top 10. That's active cash spending, total cash spending, which is active cash spending and guaranteed salaries for players who are no longer on the team. For example, like Devontae Parker's $3 million and Chris Ford's one of that money counts as total cash spending. And then you get the Patriots are 6 in cash to cap ratio. All right. So in the 3 main cash spending categories, the Patriots are in the top 10. So so the argument that the Patriots are being cheap with Judon or cheap with Godchaux doesn't hold up,
right,
in my opinion.
No, I think you're absolutely right. And you look at the value that each of these guys has to the New England Patriots. We've gone through that several times here, the logistical value on field about what Davon Godchaux brings you, especially that presence in the middle, that ability to be solid against the run, but also be able to facilitate pass defense. Matthew Judon acts as the ultimate facilitator, whether it be helping Christian Barmore, get after the quarterback, or helping teams to identify him as the one that's going to take on the double team so Matthew can get free and get after the quarterback, or being able to play Batman to a guy like a Joshua Uche's Robin to get after the quarterback in that regard.
Yes.
Matthew is so important to this team, and so is Davon. But the question is, how much are the Patriots willing to go? How high are the Patriots willing to go to sign these guys? We're going to get into that in just a moment because Miguel's going to give us his breakdown on Matthew Judon's potential contract, as well as what one may look like. Yeah, he's got all the information, folks. You're not going to want to miss this. Before we pivot off of Tavai, though, Miguel, one question that I continue to get an awful lot from our listeners is, did the Jahlani Tavai extension prevent them from being able to do anything imminently? In other words, in order to be able to work out something with Judon or with Peppers, does the Tavai contract change anything in terms of what their ability is to operate right now?
No, that's why I said Mike, it was unfortunate because he's the last guy.
Yeah.
All right. He's the last guy who signed this. So they get about, off the top of my head, Mike, they got on track for spending about $280 million. All right. So he's got $7.5 million there. So he's got a small percentage of that. All right. But people are thinking that because he's the last one, that he's the one who's going to prevent other guys from getting their money.
Right.
He's just he's just the last one. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how much the Patriots are willing to spend this year. All right. I don't know. I don't know if the Kraft says, hey, we're not spending more than $300 million. I don't know that number they have. Like internal cash limit. I can say about the cap. They have plenty of cap space. If they want to spend $325 million, they can surely do it. I don't know what their cash, but I don't. It's a great question, Mike. But I will say this: his deal does not prevent Patriots from doing a thing. A thing. It is just their internal cash budget, which I'm not going to ever find out what it is. All right. I do know that right now in the top 10. And that's before, folks, I'm saying that, and that's before close to $50 million in incentives. But because in incentives right now, in the way that NFLPA accounts for incentives, They don't account against their cash spending total until they're earned. All right. Now, for example, I'll just talk about Judon. Like Judon was only active for 4 games last year. All right. But he has active roster bonuses, which could, if he played, it was an active every 17 games this year, he can get $1 million. That $1 million counts as cash right now.
Right.
All right. Even though he only played 4 games last year. All right. So when I'm saying the Patriots have about $285 million in cash, I'm just talking about, I'm going by the accounting by the NFLPA, and I'm not including incentives. And I'm 100% sure that a player or multiple players will earn some kind of incentive this year.
Mm-hmm.
So it is likely they will be top 8, depending on incentives and injuries. And there are none like, and we know that Cole Strange is probably not going to start the season on the 53-man roster. That means you're going to pay someone a salary, 54 players a salary.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's, but we also know the other teams are doing the same thing too.
Very good point.
And so that's Tavai's contract doesn't prevent the Patriots from doing the thing. Like I said before, I think it's just unfortunate for him because he's the last guy. He's not even close to making the most money in terms of cash this year. Like, we got Barmore, Owanu, Drake May, who making at least $20 million a piece this year. But people are going to pick on the last guy. Right? It's more like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I should I should look it up. But I mean, off the top of my head, he's not close to the top. We don't have time to list them all. So let's just move on.
No, but I think it's a good thing to learn and to know that even though Tavai is the latest among a long line of Patriots that have gotten contract extensions and new contracts this year, that it's still not handcuffing them. They're still in a good position. I mean, look, Miguel, as Solezzo would say, if you consider $43 million plus in cash, just finance. Ti salud, Don Benzan. I mean, they're doing pretty well in this area this late into the offseason.
Yeah.
So the New England Patriots definitely setting themselves up well. And of course, our good friend Miguel Benzan has all of the information you need for the New England Patriots finances and what it means going forward. But Miguel, we've heard you mention the name Matthew Judon several times, and it's a name right now that is causing a little uneasiness throughout Patriots Nation. Many are wondering whether or not he may even be on the trading block as a result of some social media comments he just made. I'm not going to ask you to prognosticate on that, but I will put you on the hot seat in just a minute, my friend, to ask about what a potential deal to keep number 9 in New England may look like. That, and of course, Miguel will set the record straight in a segment that is unique to only this podcast. Folks, Miguel is only scratching the surface. You are not going to want to miss what he has to say next, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Locked On listeners, passion, drive, and patience is what brings home that winning trophy. You know what? It's also what keeps your ride or die alive. Our good friends over at eBay Motors have everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers to roof racks to exhaust kits, LED headlights, and so much more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Patriots fans, thank you once again for joining us here today on Locked On Patriots, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. Don't forget, after you listen to this great episode starring my good friend Miguel Benzan, the Pats Cap himself, make your second listen of the day Locked On NFL. You can find Locked On NFL available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. So smash that subscribe button and download and follow Locked On Patriots and Locked On NFL wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, I am joined here today on this Foxborough Finance edition of Locked On Patriots by the very pharaoh of Foxborough Finance. He is the best in the business. He is my good friend, Miguel Benzan. And Miguel, we've already talked about Jahlani Tavai's extension, what it means for the Patriots. You've given a phenomenal breakdown. Folks, if you want the visual breakdown on Jahlani Tavai's new contract, make sure to check out Miguel's Twitter at PatsCap. He's got all the information right there for you. But some of the news of the day, Miguel, especially surrounding Tavai's extension, centered around Matthew Judon. A lot of Patriots fans were surprised that it was Tavai, not Judon, that was extended within the last couple of weeks heading into training camp. And a lot of Patriots fans starting to feel uneasy about when that contract extension may take place. Well, it was compounded by Matthew Judon actually responding to a fan inquiry over social media last week saying, I don't think it's going to happen, meaning that it's not looking likely that there's a contract imminently in Matthew's future. Now, we have received reports that a contract offer has been made. Fox Sports' Henry McKenna was the first to report that the Patriots have offered Matthew a contract, but that the two sides are not close on a deal. Miguel, I would ask you to look into your Wolfian, Mayoian crystal ball and determine whether or not the Patriots are going to sign Matthew to a long-term extension. I think there is still a lot of factors that need to be worked out on the field as well as in the finance room. But from a pure financial standpoint, what is it going to take for the Patriots to wrap up Matthew Judon for the foreseeable future?
So the fan said, pay Matthew Judon what he wants. All right. Judon replied, I don't think that's going to happen. I will say to, and I follow him. He's the only player I follow on Twitter. All right. I don't think he got the money he wanted when he first signed with the Patriots. Okay. He only signed for a deal that was like 13.6, had a 13.6 API. I said at the time when they signed, and I think it was on the show, that was a bargain deal. All right. Because at that time, the top edge players were getting around $25 million. Now it's up to like $35 million. All right. He was a bargain then. Mike, I don't think not one Patriot player I could think got maxed out the money this year. Maybe Duggar, maybe Kyle Duggar. Out of the 30 plus veterans they've signed this year, all right, maybe one, two, maybe I can't think of it. Just maybe Duggar. It was definitely not Barmore, all right, definitely not Hunter Henry, all right, definitely not Awanu, all right. Who got maybe Awanu, but if you thought of him as a god, maybe who got max money who could have gotten more money, all right. So I can understand why Matthew Judon would say that based on the recent deals that the Patriots have signed, all right. It seems that they've had I will argue that most of the deals that the Patriots have signed players have been team friendly. If Matthew Judon does not want to follow that, they might just say, hey, you could play for the Patriots this year and maybe make $7.5 million, which is not close to what you should be if you play well, not close to what he's worth. All right. Or they would have to come to say the team's better off without him to trade him. And I just don't see that happening, Mike. I mean, because if you were to trade him, you should have traded him before the draft. All right. If you trade him now, you're saying you can't come up to a deal, and then he might be a distraction. He said this before early in this offseason, he's not going to be a distraction.
Right.
Okay. So if he's not going to be a distraction, and you can't reach an agreement to reach an extension, you might as well have him play out for $7.5 million. I think it's possible, and that they do extend him, but the two sides can come to an agreement. I remember when Ramondre had said on to the media that we're close to a deal. And then media saying, oh, he's not really close to a deal. And it happened like a week later. It doesn't really, in this day and age, it doesn't take that long to come to an agreement if you want to make it happen.
No.
Like they exchanged offers and they didn't agree. Okay, of course it is. If you're if you go to like a yard sale, all right, are you really expecting the person to take your first offer? Or, you're not. Sometimes, right?
Right.
I was like, over your fantasy football, you're making a proposed trade. I'm saying, do you think that person could actually take the first offer? All right. It happens. We'll see. I think it's possible that they can sign a deal. I know they could. It's going to increase his cap number this year, which doesn't really matter because they got over $43 million in cap space. All right. So what? Okay. All right. I don't know what he wants, Mike. I mean, like literally, I wish he had said, I don't know if he's probably not gonna say anything else because I think he followed it up by saying, I'm out of here with another a meme thing. I think I'm off the social media, but it's possible, Mike. I was on record before, and I think I said this on your show in March. I thought they were gonna extend him. I still think that's gonna extend him. I had five players, 3 of them. I got 3 of them. I didn't get the order right. I don't think the order mattered. I don't really, say. I just thought it was going to happen. I got Pepper. Excuse me. I'm missing Judon and I'm missing Peppers. I got Stevenson. I got Andrews and I got Tavai. All right. So I like being right, Mike.
You're right most of the time.
Okay,
that's pretty good.
I don't know, but the order didn't matter to me, Mike. I don't. Big picture wise, the order shouldn't matter to people when it happens. All right. Because literally, I signed the extended deal because he agreed on the deal, and he's like, I might as well get my signing bonus right now. It's like, why wait? If they're talking and you come to the deal, why wait? Like, because like now when Judon is risking that he gets hurt during training camp,
right?
And then if he gets hurt in training camp himself with a major injury, then he's not getting any kind of extension.
Absolutely.
So like that's why we will see throughout the NFL in the first right before training camp starts and in the first couple of days of training camp more extensions from players.
Very good point. I'm glad that you mentioned that. And that actually leads me quite nicely into my next question on this subject, which, I know it's more speculation than anything else, but you deal in these figures. You know exactly what it takes for certain deals to get done. A lot of fans right now are wondering whether it's the amount of money that Matthew's looking for or the years that he's looking for on the contract. Do you think it's a little bit of both? Or do you think one weighs a little more than the other?
I think it's the guaranteed money, Mike. He has no guaranteed money in his deal right now. If he's on, but I mean, of course, if he's on the week 1 roster, his salary is guaranteed for the year to $6.5 million. All right, he has no guaranteed money on this thing. Does he want to? Then the question then becomes: do you want to make this negotiating thing an annual thing? All right, because they redid the deal last year. All right, you do it and you do redos next year, then you got to do it again in 2025. All right. If he says I don't want to go through this in 2025 because it's just too much stress on me, right? I don't blame him. All right. Then he probably wants a deal that says you guarantee me my salary in 2024, guarantee me money in 2025, and we'll just talk about the future in 2026. All right. That's what he's probably looking for. All right. Because most NFL deals are really 2 years and see.
Right.
All right. If you don't, it's unusual unless you're a quarter, especially if you're not a quarterback, to get 3 years fully guaranteed salary. All right. So she's probably looking for the 2 years, and then we'll see. All right. If he's looking for more than that, then God, his expectations are out of line. All right. That's what I think he's looking for. Is it the problem for them is that he's playing a position where the Patriots have some young talent. All right. And with Josh Uche changing agents again, okay, who's on a 1-year deal, which he definitely has been reported he took less money from the Patriots than he he could have gotten elsewhere. If, let's just say, Josh Uche shows out this year, and you can't reach an extension with Judon, you're gonna pay next year in October. You're gonna pay Uche first before you're gonna pay Judon. You know what I'm saying? So, man, Mike, it's I'm not feeling like I'm gonna get all 5 right now. I'm being honest. All right.
Yeah.
I'll be pleasantly surprised, and I would love to see them do it because and if it's gonna happen, Mike, I think it's gonna happen end of July. I don't think before they start the hitting on the hitting that he's gonna be. I think that's gonna be. Maybe it happens the first couple of days of training camp where there's no hitting. I think if the Patriots are going to be another extension with a player, any player, it's going to happen before they start hitting up with the pads on.
That's a very good point. And we've seen that before. We've seen guys like Davon Godchaux get an extension, get a little bit of a bump before the pads come on and before they really start to engage in some physical contact during training camp for all the reasons you just said. I mean, they're taking a huge gamble of not getting hurt in training camp. It's going to be interesting. And we haven't even mentioned the name Jabrill Peppers yet, who was in that mix that you talked about getting all 5. A potential for his contract extension could be soon. Folks, keep a sharp eye because the next couple of weeks are going to be very exciting. The Patriots have already proven, as my good friend has said earlier today, there are no days off. The Patriots are continuing to work on contract extensions each and every day throughout the offseason, right up until the start of training camp on July 24th. And again, we are blessed to have the wisdom and counsel of my good friend Miguel Benzan to break it all down. But Miguel, we're not quite done yet because there is a segment unique to Locked On Patriots where Miguel is going to set the record straight on all those erroneous cap myths floating around out there and help you to make better sense of the Patriots salary cap. That and all other information he wants to provide on contract extensions and Patriots finance when we wrap things up right here on the Locked On Patriots podcast, proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Patriots fans, thanks once again for joining us here today on Locked On Patriots. And we have been regaled by the wisdom, counsel, and genius. That's right, I said it, genius of my good friend Miguel Benzan, the Pats cap himself, who has provided wisdom and counsel beyond the meter when it comes to Jahlani Tavai's extension, taking a look into that Wolfian crystal ball and prognosticating on what it might take to keep Matthew Judon here in New England. But Miguel, we're not quite done yet because there are a handful of other Patriots that are looking for potential new deals. There is the 2025 cap to think about. There is operating costs for the 2024 season, as well as what the Patriots' finances look like heading into training camp. A lot of other things on the plate right now. And of course, in a segment that is unique to Locked On Patriots, and it's always my favorite segment of any podcast that I do any day of the week, Miguel sets the record straight. He helps people like me see the salary cap better. So when we report to you, we're reporting accurately and completely, and we're not missing any details. I always pay attention. Can't speak for other people, but I always pay attention. And this is my good friend, and I always want to make sure I'm doing him justice. So, Miguel, before we set the record straight, is there any other cap-related information with regard to the Patriots' finances that you believe our listeners should know as the Patriots get set to open training camp in just a couple of weeks?
Besides the obvious, they're in great cap shape. They have a ton of flexibility. They can, without knowing their cash budget, Mike, all right? They could do anything they want on the gap. They could extend a couple of players. They could trade for a player. All right. They're one of the few teams in the league right now who could trade. Not that I think it's going to happen. All right. That could have the cap space to trade for T. Higgins, who's got a $20 million cap hit. Straight up. Straight up. Some teams would have to create cap space to do that. Some teams would have to create cap space if they wanted to trade for Brandon Ayuk, who's got a $14 million cap hit. And I'm not saying it. I don't think I'll say this on record. I don't think the Bengals or the 49ers are going to trade in those two players, right? But the Patriots have the cap space to make those kind of moves. They're going to have the cap space at the trade deadline to make those kind of moves. They'd have the cap space at roster cutdowns to make any kind of moves they want. That's that's what the situation is. They're in a great cap space. We didn't have a chance really. We talked 35, 30, 40 minutes right now. We haven't had a chance to talk to 2025. They're going to be in great cap space for 2025. I usually don't like talking about future years, Mike, because it's so hard to see the crystal ball because so many things happen. Like we saw if you're watching the Hard Knocks with the offseason with the Giants, the NFL was surprised about the number of the cap. It was good. They all expected 242 or something like that. Ends up being 255, right? So no one knows right now. What the cap's going to lead cap number is. I'm just using $280 million just because it's a round number. All right. So, but I can't. The Patriots would have to extend a whole bunch of players to be in a tight cap space for next year, and I don't see that happening. All right. Not the way they structured the deals, Mike. So they're in great cap space. The only cap related thing is going to happen for sure in the next couple of months is if Joey Slye makes the roster, he gets a bonus. If Waquan McMillan makes a 50 million roster, he gets a small bonus. But that's when the cap is $255 million, $100,000 isn't going to really make a difference.
You know what? I believe that is an ideal way for us to begin my favorite segment of any podcast that I do here on Locked On Patriots, and that is when I give the baton to my good friend and allow him to set the record straight with all those erroneous cap myths floating around out there. Folks, the salary cap can be complicated. Not to my guest today. He's an expert. He knows what he's doing. But for people like me who still count on their fingers, it can be very difficult. Bottom line, Miguel is the only call that I make whenever I am stumped on a cap question. And he always knows the answer because he's always the one that does his homework, takes all the numbers into account, and always factors in all possibilities. So with that being said, my friend, when you look at a lot of the stuff that's being shared right now with regard to the Patriots salary cap or even the NFL cap as a whole, take us home and let us know what particularly out there right now that's being purported as truth that you need to set the record straight on and dispel as a cap myth.
One is the reporting of Matthew Judon's number of how much cash he's getting. I know his salary is $6.5 million, but somehow his $1 million they can earn active roster bonuses is not part of the equation. All right. So that's seven. So it's 1 point. It's actually he can earn $7.5 million in cash, and it makes it look worse when you say $6.5 million. But the truth of the matter, all right, it's $7.5 million. All right. And I did this once in a tweet. All right. So I'm guilty of it too. But we should really say and that the reason he's only going to get $7.5 million this year because they got some of the money from 2024 last year. As part of his restructure, they moved money from 2020 cash from 2024 into 2023. All right. This is why, like, people ask me all the time, Patriots, why don't Patriots front load their deals? They actually front loaded Matthew Judon deal by giving him a lot more cash last year and then backloading the cash this year, causing a problem this year. This is why they don't do that. All right. I know they got a lot of cap space, folks, and that's the most common question I swear I get right after a deal. So they should have front loaded the deal, and I'm like, they don't. That's not what they do. They want the flexibility, and I'm saying, have you not noticed, folks, that there's been hundreds of veteran deals this year? Several of them, several dozen with teams who have a lot of cap space. How many of them have been front loaded? Like, I can't think of any. All right, true. I can't think of, if it's been some, it's been less than a handful. I've seen more deals with these deals with voided contracts, voided years in the end than I've seen front loaded deals. That's for sure. Okay, all right. Excuse me. It was very hot today.
Okay.
So that's the one thing is that thing. The other thing I gotta say, Mike, is people keep on mixing up cash and cash space. Those are two different things. Like, yes, the Patriots have a lot of cap space right now, right? And they also spent a lot of cash this year. People think if you have a lot of cap space, you didn't spend a lot of cash. It's not true. Patriots have the most cap space and top 10 in cash spending. All right. Those two things are not related. All right. And the other thing we talked about it before. When you have a lot of cap space, the last guy who signed doesn't impact anything else going forward. It's just a matter of it's the timing of a deal doesn't matter. Why would it matter to it cap wise or cash wise when Jahlani Tavai signs his deal? All right. Mm-hmm. If you're gonna sign Matthew Judon to an extension, it doesn't what you signed. Jahlani Tavai has no impact on that. It's a separate. It's its own identity, its own transaction. If a player gets upset that another player got his money first, he's just taking the money. It's taking it personal. It's a business. This NFL is a business. Treat it like such. I mean, so let's see what else is gonna say. And the other thing that happens, people don't consider the operating expenses. Like literally, the teams lose a lot of cap space because of the switch over from top 51 accounting to full accounting. And what do I mean by that, folks? Is like right now, only the salaries of the players with the 51 highest cap numbers are counting against the cap. The other 39 players on the roster, the salaries that don't count against the cap. So let's pick. Let's pick a guy. Fenwick. His $795,000 is not counting against the cap right now. All right. But if he was to make the roster, it would have counted against the cap. Mm-hmm. So as part of the whole thing, some people still believe that practice squad players don't get paid. They do. That some people believe that if you go on injury reserve, you don't get paid. They do. All right. So that's why teams lose tons of cap space, Mike, during roster cut downs because they're putting players on IR. They're paying for a practice squad. So that $43 million, Mike, will get used. Like when in 2017, they used from the beginning to the end of the season, like $16 million in cap space. And we'll just talk about that, right? Yeah. See, like, folks, I keep track of this, all right? And, all right, so you can see at the start of training camp, and, for example, and then with the ending, you could see, like, example, late in 2023, they ended with just $22,000 in cap space, all right? They used over close to $14.4 million, $13 million because Judon restructured his deal, all right? So they use $16 million in cap space. You can see that, Mike, here. It's a huge. That's the thing that doesn't get reported as much. I wish they did. But it is what it is. It's Mike, I've stopped fighting that battle. Like literally, it's like, all right. Look at the numbers of people who played, who are gone, who played on special teams. And Mike, it was and I counted how many players who actually played a snap on special teams, right? There's over like 50. Mm. I'm like, some of them were just one snap. Like, there were over 50 players. I'm like, holy cow. So, like, it cracks me up when people say they're returning everyone from a 4-13 team. Like, literally, they have close to half the snaps who played are gone. Half the, what? In terms of gone, 30% of the play, close to 30% of the games are gone. Close to over 20% of the starts are gone. Over 31% of the snaps on offense is gone. Close to 23% of the defense is gone, and close to 49% of the special team snaps is gone. But they brought back everybody from a 4-13 team. Mm-hmm. All right, that's my rant. I don't. When my friends say they brought back everyone from a thing, I just say you're not paying attention, and that's all I gotta say.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the benefit of those of you listening to this podcast as opposing to viewing it on YouTube, when you look at the number of players, just from a special team standpoint, that played more than 200 special team snaps last year, Pharaoh Brown, 209. Adrian Phillips, 321, moment of silence there. I still don't like the fact that he's not a New England Patriot anymore, but you know what? Digress.
Yeah.
Patriots are moving forward. Obviously, Matthew Slater, that's one we're all going to miss, 378. Chris Board, 407 special team snaps last year. Cody Davis, 202. None of those players will be suiting up for your New England Patriots this year. Oh, and Mac Wilson at 312 as well. So you're looking at a tremendous amount of snaps just on special teams that are not going to be there. Yeah, I agree with you, Miguel. This is definitely an eye-opener, and I thank you so much for putting this stuff together because it really does help our listeners and our viewers see exactly what the Patriots are missing when people say they just brought back the same roster. No, a lot of guys on this roster that have not been brought back. You can make the argument whether you believe that any one of these guys that have departed will be detrimental long-term to the Patriots' success, but a lot of guys that played a lot of minutes last year are not going to be in New England this year. So someone's got to pick up the mantra, take up the cause, and who's it going to be? That's really what it comes down to. And whoever it's going to be is going to get paid. And when they get paid, our good friend here, Miguel, is going to bring you all the information you need on why they got paid and what that means for their future. But I can't thank you enough for all of this.
Thank you. It was an awesome time. Awesome time. Folks, I should highly recommend subscribing to Locked On Patriots. I listen to it all the time. Murph is an awesome guest, even though I wish he had explained more why I didn't think Polk could be a number one wide receiver. Could just give me stats. As a number guy, don't give me stats. I'm a numbers guy. Don't give me stats. Tell me what traits he has, a number one receiver has, and what and Polk doesn't have. That's what
he'll be here tomorrow. I'll ask him.
Ask him that question.
I'll put him on the hot seat.
Okay, put him on the hot seat for that one.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, that's all I gotta say because I'm. It's been. I should tell people a little background. Like literally, when every time I go on the show, I send Mike a workbook and it has tabs on it. And this workbook had way too many tabs. We didn't even go through half the stuff, all the tabs, because we're 50 minutes in and we haven't gone through all the tabs. Just because it's like, I love coming on this show and I appreciate it, Mike. That's all.
Well, we appreciate having you on, Miguel. You've been an everydayer here with us, listener from Locked On Patriots, from the moment I took the microphone. And I know you listened when Mark had the show as well. And you have also been a phenomenal guest here on Locked On Patriots, a regular part of the Locked On Familia, as I like to call it. And you never cease to amaze me. Each and every time you come on the show, you teach me something new. You help me learn something about myself as a reporter in terms of the accuracy and level of detail that I like to try to show. And you always raise the bar. So I thank you for that, for giving me that inspiration each and every day to be a better reporter, a more accurate reporter. And bottom line, I could not ask for a better friend. You are truly a family member to me, as are the regulars here on Locked On Patriots, guys like Murph and Steve Balistrieri, who have been with me since day one in this business. I'm very blessed to have a small but very dedicated and very genuine circle of friends that I've had in this business. And I want to thank all of you. And I thank you, my friend, for always being there for the handoff whenever I need you. Folks, I can't say enough good things about Miguel, but I'm going to say one more before we take our leave today. If you can't afford to do so, I strongly encourage you to donate to Miguel's chosen charity at Habitat for Humanity of North Central Connecticut. You can find the website at fundraise.givesmart.com/V as in Victor, F as in Frank, /PatsCat, all one word. His dream of trying to help lift the family up and help them to find their forever home is something that is an endless pursuit for this gentleman, and it really speaks to his character. And again, I'm always honored and always wowed by the dedication that he shows to this. So folks, if you can, please do so and donate to Miguel's chosen charity for all of the information he provides to all of us here on Locked On Patriots, all of us throughout Patriots Nation, whether it be on this podcast or the several others that he's guest on as well. We're all part of the same team. We're all part of the same family. We may be competitors in some certain ways, but I consider each and every one of them a part of Patriots Nation. And we all work together to strive to give you the best coverage we possibly can. And guys like this make it easy. So thank you, Miguel, for everything that you do. And Before I let you go, I'm going to give you the floor for one last moment. Any more parting words of wisdom for our adoring public on Locked On Patriots?
No, I'm just hoping to see some of you guys. I know which one. I'm going to try to go to training camp, so I hope to see you guys there. I don't know which one I'm going to yet. I got to ask. I got to figure out when the hitting starts. I'm trying to go with the first day hitting.
Yeah, I think in a lot of respects, we'll probably end up going at least 3 to 4 practices deep before the pads come on. But we will keep you posted on all of the comings and goings, the ins and outs when it comes to training camp. Hard to believe that the Patriots will be back on the field sooner rather than later. When the season begins, it's every single day. And your team every day will continue to be Locked On Patriots, because we're going to continue to give you all the coverage from Foxborough, boots on the ground coverage each and every day. And we look forward to seeing Miguel in Foxborough for training camp. We look forward to seeing all of you coming up on training camp. And don't forget, we're not done yet for the week here, because our main man Murph is coming for a special weekend mailbag edition. And I'm going to ask him Miguel's question about why he feels Polk is not a number one wide receiver. We'll recycle that a little bit, and we want specific traits. So we're going to cover that here next time Murph joins us. But in the meantime, I want to thank my good friend again, Miguel Benzan, the best of the best, the salary cap top gun. No plaque for the alternates, folks. Doesn't exist, because the man doesn't have an equal. And I say that without hesitation and from the bottom of my heart. And also from the bottom of my heart, thank you, all of you, for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us here on Locked On Patriots and make us a part of your daily Patriots coverage. On behalf of the great Miguel Benzan, I'm Mike Debate. Have a great day, everyone. Stay safe, stay well, be the change you wish to see in the world, and we'll see you back here again tomorrow on Locked On Patriots.